Trent Dilfer each and every week on the Parkins Spiegel Show makes us smarter about Justin Fields and quarterback play. It's brought to you by global biotech company Horizon Therapeutics, where our mission to transform patients' lives is personal. It's on the Circuit Resort and Casino hotline. Circuit Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, home of the world's largest sports book. Also, you can check them out on our Twitch page. Just search 670 The Score. Oh, we're glowing, Trent. Well, the city is celebrating today a breakout game on Monday Night Football. Did you enjoy that last night?
What a night. And the Bulls won, too.
Yeah, Chicago over Boston in basketball and football. Can't get any better.
Awesome. Yeah, that was good stuff. I watched it with my wife last night. She enjoyed it. She fell asleep in the fourth quarter.
Sure.
So then I watched it again today and graded it. So feel really good about it. I think there's a lot of positives. There's still some negatives that we can talk about, but overall, I thought they're making strides. The 10 days helped. You can tell they had a lot of conviction in what they were going to do. Getsky has found what he feels is the way they're going to win games offensively, and you're going to see some growth, but you're not going to see him deviate, I wouldn't think, from what they did last night.
So that was our biggest headline in the game overall. Is they used these 11 days as a mini bye, and in every phase they made changes and made adjustments and had buy-in to do it. That's a great sign for the culture-building aspect of it that you've comped to your days with Tony Dungy. So we feel good about that in a general sense. How did you feel about what you saw from Luke Getsy? All those designed runs, the pocket moved consistently into the second half?
Yep, and yeah, I loved it. And again, I love it for this team. Now, if they had a bunch of playmakers, then no, you don't go big. You don't find 17 different ways of running the football. You find 17 different ways of throwing it, right? But I will say this, I hope the fan understands that it is way easier to design passes in the NFL than it is to design runs. It is very hard to design new runs in the new NFL where you're not having that much contact in practice, when you don't have that much time with your players. And they did a phenomenal job of continuing to do their truck play, which is their toss play, finding wrinkles off of that, because that's not always the same. They don't block it the same way every time. I loved the drive in the fourth quarter where they put the heavy side of the offensive line to the left with Komet, and bashed them with a little zone play over there. It's a duo play over there. I love the wrinkles in the fly game. I keep telling you guys, they're a good fly team. He's one of the few guys that understands fly. And they popped another one to Pettis down the right in a critical moment. I think it went for like 35. The design quarterback runs are really clever, both draw and zone read. It opened up some other zone runs because of the threat of Justin running. That's why they're able to keep running these kind of, everybody knows they're going to run boot, and they still run boot naked, and it works because you're so caught up in not getting gashed in the run game. Multiple formations. My assistant just sent me a note. I'll look it up right here so I don't mess it up. Pre-snap motion, 58.3% of the time. That's 8th most in the NFL. That's a hard thing to get guys to buy into. It takes a lot of practice, the timing of it. Nice blend of shotgun and under center, 60.5% shotgun, 38.7% under center, both right in the middle of the league, which is good. You want to be in the middle of the league if you have distribution both ways. So I'm impressed with Getsy. I was talking to my assistant earlier, and I'm like, nobody in Chicago is going to believe me because you don't see it in the numbers. Because if you just read the raw data, turnovers, they stink. Takeaways, they stink. Time of possession, they stink. Third and out, they stink. Third down offense, they stink. Fourth down offense, they stink. Red zone efficiency, they're almost the worst.
Yeah.
Goal to go, TD efficiency,
you're on
the worst.
Yeah, it's tough data.
Right?
Tough data.
So if you look at that data, which most fans do, and you're like, wow, they stink. Well, you got to understand the groceries you're shopping with, right? And the challenges that you have. And this is why I go back to Tampa, that I cannot begin to tell you how much it reminds me of 97, but they have a 10 times better quarterback than Tampa had. Like, it is what we did in Tampa with a dude that has a chance to be a superhero calling the shots. Now, he didn't play great. He played good, not great. But you got to be crazy if you can't see the upside there.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you that the upside. And Ryan Poles before the game, the Bears general manager talked about grading Justin Fields, and he was like, "Is it hard? Do you regret not adding more around him?" And he's like, with young players, you want to see flashes,
Yes.
and they're clearly seeing flashes from him, Trent. Specifically, the designed runs. They talked about stealing plays from the Ravens. Is that sustainable for Justin Fields? Because it felt like it should have been there before, but last night was maybe to the extreme on the high end.
Yeah, I think what's happened with that, I was actually thinking about this today, and you can disagree with me, and I'm fine with that. But, I was on TV having to deal with this all week, every week, when the athletic quarterback kind of started making its mark in the NFL. And people forget that Steve Young was an athletic quarterback, Ronald Cunningham, but they didn't have design runs, right? Those were scrambles.
Yeah.
Donovan McNabb was really the first guy they would call Fox 2 QB run, which was like a draw play where both backs let up inside, and then Donovan would lead behind it. And nobody ever questioned it. Well, when my time at ESPN, it kind of became this media narrative. And I don't know if it was launched from somebody in the NFL in a personnel department, a coach, but the media kind of got hold of this. Well, you can't run your quarterback. If you run your quarterback, he's going to get hurt. And if he gets hurt, he's worth too much money, and you can't risk that. And all of a sudden, it's like, well, wait a second. We used to get the crap beat out of us. We made a lot of money, and nobody was ever like, the quarterback can't get hit because if the quarterback gets hit, so we're going to watch TV and they make too much money. I'm like, John Elway got lit up. Troy Aikman got lit up. Dan Marino got lit up. Warren Moon got lit up. Jim Kelly almost got killed every week. Like, these guys got hit all the time. And there's a reason why joint structure, size, speed, athleticism, and injury past matters. And that's because you got to trust your quarterback can get hit and he's not going to get hurt. And I think with Justin, I think you do need to run him. He's a 6'3", 228-pound monster. He's got more horsepower than any quarterback in the league, just raw horsepower. And he has no injury history.
And it seemed to make him more comfortable throwing the ball.
Well, a lot of them are this way. So we deal with this with the Elite 11 every year. We find these quarterbacks that are quote-unquote dual threats. And we're like, they're in a 7-on-7 tournament. They're not going to be at their best because what they do best, they feel as if they're playmakers. That's why I gave you the playmaker bucket early on. We're talking about buckets. It's not just throwing. Their mind's eye, this new generation of quarterback, they make plays. Cade Klubnik at Clemson's a great example.
Yeah.
Cade Klubnik was labeled a drop back quarterback. He's not a drop back quarterback. He's a true dual threat. He's a beast. I mean, this kid is a stud, and he can run, and he's got twitch, and he's also really good at throwing the ball. He plays his best when he has some runs going on, because in his mind's eye, he's a playmaker, not just a quarterback. And the fan of every Tom Brady fan needs to realize that is old school. There's a new school of quarterback, and they consider them playmakers, not just surgeons. And Justin fits into that category. So if you run him, you can't run him 20 times a game, but you run him 6 to 9 times a game. One, you're going to steal plays, which they've talked about, but you're also going to get him into that playmaking mentality and bring out the wholeness in who he is.
Yeah, that's really well said. And it's interesting how that has evolved, that thought process has evolved through time. Lamar Jackson is about to get paid as a guy who they still design runs for. Josh Allen has been paid, and they still design runs for him. Daniel Jones's career is kind of maybe being reborn by Brian Daboll with a ton of designed runs there. So the one guy I thought of that scared me a little was I thought of Cam Newton last night, and Justin grew up loving Cam Newton. Cam, they designed crazy runs for him, but he didn't develop all the pocket passer stuff that he needed, and his body got beaten up. Tell me if I should be afraid for Justin in the way that I experienced Cam.
I'm not kissing your butt, but that's a great question. And Steve Young and I are on record at a playoff game with the Panthers, out post-game, and I took so much flack for this. I said, listen, I love Cam Newton. I'm his biggest fan. However, you just shortened his career by 8 years by doing what you do with him. Because it was different. Those were short yardage runs. That's QB power. That's everybody in the building knowing that he's getting the ball in the run game and him taking inside running back hits.
Yep.
That's the difference. These are not QB. I would tell every NFL team not to run QB power. You can run QB spread power, which is a little different. It's a 5-man power versus soft boxes, and you can go slide after you pick up your 6 to 8. But this is zone read. The QB draws were brilliant. And then he does some of it on his own. Some of these aren't design runs. Like, he just made some dudes flat out miss and got probably 40 yards on just being an athlete. But yeah, you got to be very selective. I mean, a couple years ago before Aaron got hurt, they were running some zone read stuff in 3rd and short, and he would just go slide for the first down. This stuff's hard to defend now. We have a kid here that isn't called a great athlete, but he ran for about 30 last week in a huge game for us down in the red zone because they're too easy. These calls are just too easy. They're light boxes. You have a man advantage. They're good schemes, and your quarterback is the extra man that's not accounted for. So, and it also will start helping him get cleaner looks in the secondary. Lamar has killed it for these last couple of years because he gets these defined looks in the secondary because they're so scared of him running that they play training camp look secondary profiles. So Justin's going to start getting some easier secondary profiles as well as they run him more.
Trent Dilfer with us, Parkins and Spiegel on the score. He's with us after every Bears game. I do want to go through your plus and minus grading in a second, Trent, but we've talked so much about Justin's eyes. He was credited last night by Peyton as manipulating defense, the secondary a couple times with his eyes, and on one play, it was the late one to St. Brown where he worked back across to the left side of the field. Peyton said it was his 4th read on the play, his 4th progression. I don't think I've seen Fields go 1, 2, 3, 4 this year. Did you agree with that assessment that it was his 4th read, and what did you make of him going like 1 to 2 to 3 with his eyes last night?
Yeah, it was a full field read. Peyton. I mean, I'm not going to argue with Peyton very much.
Yeah, but he's doing it live. You went back and watched the film, so just curious.
No, he's right. He is absolutely right. It's a full field progression. Everything was supposed to be on the right. What I liked was not just that he did it with his eyes, he did it with the right time. Like, he didn't wait for 3. He could have waited for 3. Instead, he got to 4. I thought it was a graduate level play. Now, I didn't give it a plus. I was really hard grading him.
Okay.
That was one that I could have given a plus, but I just kind of did it. He did his job because hopefully he grows into where when you have protection and you feel like you have protection, that is actually part of the job. Like, you should get deep into your progressions.
So to remind everybody, plus is special, then there's neutral, then there's minuses, then there's plus, and double minus, correct?
Here's the easiest way to think about it. Plus, the scheme didn't do it, you did it.
Okay.
Double plus was exceptional. A nothing, a no grade is just did your job.
Which is that one, okay.
Yep, a minus is you hurt the play, and a double minus is a catastrophic mistake.
So what were your your double pluses last night? We have some guesses, I'm sure, but love to hear it from your perspective.
I had 3 of them. And again, bear with me. You got to see my scratch notes here. I go off the play-by-play. The first one was the touchdown run because they don't block the forced defender. He makes him miss, and then he runs over the open defender, the free defender at the goal line.
Yep. So
that's him, right? That wasn't his play design. If you would have tossed that to me, I'm getting -4.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, if that's me, even in my prime, when I was 6'4", 245 and ran 4.6, I ain't scoring there. Right. He's one of the few guys that score in there.
You used to go 4.6?
Yeah, I ran 4.62 at 240.
Oh, damn. Good for you, Trent Dilfer. I got that wrong.
The best one was the touchdown pass to Herbert where he pumps it. Ball should have been knocked down. Nobody would have said anything. Everybody would have said, oh, yeah, bad play design. Defense then knocks it down.
That was my favorite play.
Double clutches it, sidearms it with no laces right on the front pad and lets Herbert walk in for the touchdown.
Awesome.
And then the third plus.
Was it right before the half? There's the 3rd and 16 where he scrambles right and throws a dime to Mooney.
I gave that a plus. I gave that a plus only.
Okay.
The third was when he avoids the sack, spins left out of it and hits Komet. How do you say his name?
Komet.
Cole Komet.
Komet, who's, by the way, excellent football player. He's one of your better football players on the entire team. His ability, and it's because he's an inline. There's very few inline dominant blockers that also can run professional routes and make professional catches. And he can do all of it.
And on that play, to your point, Trent, he realized that Justin was looking for him, and he stopped and came back and made a great play.
He's a really good player. Now, he's never going to get the glamour that Kelsey gets or Kittle gets because he doesn't have that natural athleticism, but he's so complete. He's like a poor man's Gronk. There's very few Gronks anymore that are long, physical. They're basically glorified offensive tackles that can run professional routes and catch professional balls, and you have one there. So he's very good. So those are my three. I got I got two separate pages of final notes here. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
I have 6 pluses, no double minuses, and 8 minuses, but 2 I graded really hard. Like if it was my quarterback, it probably would have been 6 pluses, 6 minuses. But I was really hard on this one because I felt like people last week probably thought I was a homer. So I wanted, and I had my offense coordinator here when I graded. He was even like, "That's a minus." I'm like, "Well, I got to be hard on this one." So 3 double pluses, 6 pluses, 8 minuses, no double minuses.
Okay, and so when we're glowing today, not just because they won, because at least on this show we try to judge this independent of wins and losses because they're not winning a Super Bowl this year. It's a development year. They've got all this dead cap space, new coach, new GM. It's a transitional year. When I say to you, all right, Trent Dilfer, Justin Fields still needs to get better at this. Like if I could get him better at one thing, what is it?
I'd say 2 things.
Okay.
I still think he feels the pocket well. I don't think he's sliding in the pocket well. He needs to be more subtle in his platform movements in the pocket. So there's still like that. He's so out that he jumps around. He's jumping in the pocket instead of sliding and manipulating the pocket. That's what the greatest ones do. Aaron's probably the best. Brady and Aaron are the 2 best. Mahomes is a slider, but he's a slider to a wide escape guy, but he's a slider in the pocket. He needs to become a slider. He should study Mahomes probably more than Aaron. He could study Aaron early career. Like if he asked me who should I study, I'd study Aaron Rodgers year 3, 4, 5, 6. I'd study Mahomes last couple years and maybe some old Brady stuff where it was like magic. He would Brady Marino, where they'd move 8 inches, but everybody would fly by him. Like that, I would study that. And then the second thing is he's just not ball secure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like that's driving me crazy. Like that's the one that I would, I mean, it's raining here in Middle Tennessee right now. I would have him outside right now, freezing his balls off, working ball drills in the rain relentlessly. I'd have a wet ball at practice. I would do everything in my power to make him uncomfortable so he understands that is like ball security isn't job security, it's life security. Like that's the amount of attention he needs to pay to protecting the football as a fumbler. You cannot be labeled a fumbler. It is the worst thing you could be labeled as, and he has to fix that.
Yeah, that's great stuff, both on the platforms moving subtly and then the ball security. He's fumbled 11 times on the year, Trent. The Bears have kept 10 of them. We'd be talking about this so much more if that was even like 7 that they kept as opposed to 10. So you're on it. Hey, there was a drive early in the second quarter where Sam Mustipher is back in at center. The Patriots just scored 2 touchdowns. And Justin gets 2 passes batted down. The drive ends with a sack on 3rd and 10. And Aikman was critical of the sack and that he took it. And there was indecision. There was comfort. And I was worried it was going to go off the rails for the rest of the way. But it did not at all. What was that? Why? Is that the growth and the stuff that we are seeing?
Yes, that's the stuff. And I'm looking at the play-by-play. It's 10-7. They have the bad drive.
Oh, that's what it is, the 10-7 drive.
Then it goes up 14-7 Patriots. And then I put on my notes, you guys can see it if anybody ever watches on Twitch.
Yeah, we got people in there, absolutely.
Response drive.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that drive was the stuff drive. I didn't give these pluses, but they're really good plays. Like Fields short pass to Mooney for 16 yards. I put really good play. Fields left end pushed out of bounds, New England 9 yards. Good play. Like is a really good run that some guys can make, but not all guys can make. And then the arm angle play for the touchdown. He drops it down, throws a touchdown. Like that was such a response drive because you could tell we're on the couch And I'm like, oh crap, tomorrow's gonna be negative.
Yep.
Like, here it goes. Here goes the Bears. And boom, they come back with that drive. And I'm like, oh, okay. There we go. And then studying it today, grading it today, I was like, yeah, that really was a momentum. Like, we're not going to be the Bears that we've been to this point of the season drive.
The last thing, at least for me, with Trent Dilfer, and we really appreciate how in-depth you go on this, I've noticed this. It was obvious last night. I didn't know how much of it was the rain, but I've noticed it in the other games too. So much of the NFL right now is like snap throw and horizontal passing, and it's basically an extension of the run game and all of that.
Yes, it is.
It doesn't feel to me like Justin's very good at it. Like,
I don't disagree.
But it seems to me, having absolutely never played quarterback, that it should be like the easiest thing to do, but then they don't really have very big targets out there. So help me out with that. Snap throw to the outside the hash mark, right? To an X or an outside receiver. Why is he struggling with it? What am I missing?
There's a principle here. It's good for all. If you're a golfer, if you're a tennis player, it's a biomechanics principle. Limited movement is more repeatable movement. Mm. Efficient movement is more repeatable movement. He's still not super efficient in his stroke. It's better. I'm guessing he's another offseason with Quincy, maybe 2, from getting his stroke a tighter arc, less movement, more core activated instead of arm activated, and that will fix that.
Interesting.
So you have a longer lever, okay? It's harder to get in the slot with a longer lever. It's harder to be twitchy when you have a longer lever. And if you look at the bad one to the right to open the second half,
yeah,
like the arm, I mean, it's like his arm's 7 feet long. You know what I mean? It's like you see this giant lever out there.
So it telegraphs it. It telegraphs it, doesn't it? And people get in the lanes easier.
Well, it just takes longer. It's not repeatable. You're not going to be as accurate with it. I'm not a believer in the knockdown is the arm angle. I'm a believer that the knockdown, and I did give him a minus for the interception. I didn't give him a double minus, but I gave him a minus because he stares right at the guy in the flat that he's going to throw the 3rd and 6 to. And I think batted balls, and I have a pretty good case to stand on here, is more about the eyes of the quarterback than the release point of the quarterback. Balls get batted down, and JT Watt, who's the best ball deflector of all time, will tell you the same thing. He doesn't look at the arm angle. He looks at the eyes of the quarterback. So the eyes give away the throw, and if it's too long of a lever on that throw, it gives great defensive linemen the chance to elevate and knock the ball down. So, yeah, this is all here's what I hope happens. I hope he still has all these double pluses, because here's the thing I've never told you guys. There's a lot of graded film I've done. I've graded multiple Tom Brady games and never given him a double plus. So double pluses are hard to get now.
Okay.
Double pluses, the answer is, I did this by myself. It was exceptional. I had very little help. I literally had a Superman cape on. That's a double plus. So you see some of the greatest quarterbacks will play 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row without a double plus. Okay. So if the double pluses maintain themselves and the minuses sit in that, 3 to 5 area, which is natural, and we avoid the double minuses, we're going to start getting hypercritical. And as we start getting hypercritical, it's a good thing, because it means things are really going well. And now we're comparing them against the best that have ever played.
Well,
the guys that just do it make the difficult look so easy.
Trent, your wisdom is awesome. The analysis is great, and your effort, the fact that you give a crap, means a lot. Listeners have loved it every week, this week included. Thank you for the give a crap. That's a technical term.
Yes.
I appreciate the open. So you guys keep me that open, and I'll keep giving a crap.
All right, sounds good. We got a tough challenge next week. Got to go up against DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons and Trevon Diggs and the Cowboys. So big game next week. We'll talk to you next Monday, Trent. Thank you.
Fired up, guys. See ya.
All right, that's Trent Dilfer. Woo. Really good stuff, man.